Rachel Reeves torn apart with just 9 words on GB News after humiliating, breaking news. Eamonn Holmes and Nana Akua spoke on The Breakfast Show on GB News about the latest inflation figures. GB News presenter Nana Akua slammed Rachel Reeves and the Labour government following the latest inflation figures. It comes after inflation rose by 3.6% in the 12 months to June and went up by 0.2% from May, according to official figures. The numbers delivers a fresh blow to households already struggling with rising costs and puts more pressure on Rachel Reeves, who is already facing questions over her handling of the economy. The Chancellor had pledged to grow the economy while keeping inflation in check. However, the latest figures could have an impact on that balancing act. On GB News, Nana slammed the government's incompetence whilst speaking to a business and financial journalist, Geoff Ho, before saying in a brutal takedown, "If Rachel Reeves is the best, we're in trouble." Eamonn and Nana also spoke to Shadow Chancellor of the Exchequer Mel Stride MP following the official numbers. Mel responded to being asked how he would do things differently from Rachel Reeves. He replied, "That's like somebody driving a car into a brick wall at 100 miles per hour and then asking me to take the wheel and get out of it." Mel cited that, "It's the wrong economic decisions that have led to higher inflation." He then said the news is deeply worrying for families, and well above the Bank of England's 2% target. On X he wrote, "Labour's decision to tax jobs and ramp up borrowing is killing growth and stoking inflation, making everyday essentials more expensive." Reacting to the figures, Rachel Reeves said, "That is why we have already taken action by increasing the national minimum wage for 3 million workers, rolling out free breakfast clubs in every primary school and extending the £3 bus fare cap." She also confessed that there is more to do, adding that she is determined we deliver on our plan for change to put more money into people's pockets. Not all forecasters predicted a rise in inflation. Capital Economics expected inflation to drop to 3.3%. It also thinks inflation will rise further, to 3.7%, later this year. Ruth Langsford fumes. Katie Alexander will never replace me. Insiders tell Closer how Ruth Langsford is really feeling as Eamonn Holmes and Katie Alexander seemingly go from strength to strength. Eamonn Holmes and his girlfriend Katie Alexander looked happier than ever as they attended an engagement party for his GB News co-star Nana Akua and her fiancé, Stephen Gillen. And now, sources reveal to Closer where his ex-wife Ruth Langsford stands on the situation, particularly as Katie, 43, is said to have been praised for her attentiveness towards Eamonn as he battles with ailing health. A fellow partygoer tells Closer, they arrived at an engagement party at Blue Marlin Ibiza London last week, and friends were excited to see the chemistry between Eamonn and Katie had ramped up. They couldn't have looked closer, and were more in tune with one another than ever. Eamonn told partygoers that in sickness you find out who is there for you. Katie is certainly that person and he knows he's a very lucky man. He is very much reliant on her, and Katie says she's in it for the long haul. It is a bit of a kick in the teeth for Ruth because she had been there from the beginning and originally helped him through all of his operations. So for Ruth, it's a shock as she was there from the start and Katie can never replace that. Northern Irish broadcaster Eamonn, 65, was married to Loose Women anchor Ruth, also 65, for 14 years before they announced their split in May last year. News of their marriage breakdown came on the heels of Ruth's admissions about caring for her now estranged husband, who underwent surgery for chronic back pain in late 2023 and now relies on a stroller, wheelchair or cane for support. At the time, Ruth, who has 23-year-old son Jack with Eamonn, said, "I don't know how much Eamonn's mobility will improve. We live in hope. He does the physio, but there might have to be some acceptance that this might never be 100% right. With any care situation, and there are millions of carers in this country, it isn't always easy, but if something happens to somebody you love, you help them as much as you can." But with Katie now seemingly taking over the role of caregiver, an insider adds, Eamonn confided he was looking forward to whisking Katie away for a well-deserved break soon too, telling pals she is his soulmate. She's happy, and they are smitten with each other. Eamonn Holmes rolls eyes during row with GB News guest defending migrants on benefits. "You're the expert." The GB News star said no other country is as generous with its payouts. A heated exchange erupted on GB News when presenter Eamonn Holmes clashed with political commentator Matthew Stadlin over foreign nationals claiming universal credit. Eamonn declared that, "Over £1 billion a month is going to foreigners who haven't paid into society here. I just don't understand this country." Stadlin strongly disputed this claim, stating, Eamonn, you just said these 1.2 million people have not paid a penny towards the British state. That is complete nonsense. Plenty of these people will have paid money into the British state. When Eamonn challenged him to explain how, Stadlin responded, 700,000 of these people are EU citizens, many of whom will have been paying tax. Universal credit is what you get when you're on a low income. The tension escalated when Stadlin asked how Eamonn would deal with the issue, to which he angrily asserted, I don't know. You're the expert. I'm telling you that 16% of people on universal credit in Great Britain are foreign nationals. You interpret it how you want, you will obviously contradict me and say otherwise. GB News star Nana Akua joined the debate, arguing that foreign nationals should support themselves rather than claim benefits. Often when you visit another country, they make sure that you, as a foreign national, can support yourself and you are not a burden, she said. Stadlin defended the claimants, insisting that, contrary to what Eamonn has said, a lot of the 1.2 million people will be contributing. He added, 100,000 of these people are refugees. Do you want them to live in poverty? The debate comes as new government data reveals that 1.2 million foreign nationals were claiming universal credit as of June 2025, representing 15.6% of all claimants. The figures, published for the first time following pressure from opposition MPs, show that 604,914 foreign nationals claiming UC were not in employment. Among the foreign national claimants, 770,379 were EU citizens with settled status under the EU settlement scheme, whilst 211,090 had indefinite leave to remain. Refugees accounted for 118,749 claimants, with a further 54,156 arriving through humanitarian routes including Ukrainian and Afghan resettlement schemes. The total number of UC claimants has risen from 6.8 million to 7.9 million over the past year, with the vast majority 83.6% being British or Irish nationals. Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp called the figures staggering and clear proof that the Labour government has lost control of our welfare system. He stated, under Kemi Badenoch, we've set out a clear, common-sense position. This is about fairness, responsibility and protecting support for those who've contributed to this country. Downing Street responded that Sir Keir Starmer wants to see fewer unemployed foreign nationals claiming benefits. A spokesperson said the government was toughening up the system by doubling the time migrants must wait before qualifying for permanent status. Independent MP Rupert Lowe, who had pushed for the data's publication, described the levels as absolute insanity, adding, "We cannot afford it. The country is broke,